Hi, and welcome to Achieve with Carolina Live. I'm Carolina Romaniuk, your child and family sleep specialist, and I help parents to get a good night's sleep and to understand their children's sleep needs better. So tonight, I wanted to do an old-fashioned Q&A. So it's open mic night on Facebook Live. So hi Masha, thanks for joining. So if you have any questions regarding your baby's sleep, I'm just leaving it up to you guys to ask me questions. I didn't want to choose a topic today. I kind of like to mix it a little bit to do some Q&As and then to do some other times to do topics. So whatever questions you have, let me know. Just type it in the comments below. Maybe there's something kind of bugging you. Maybe you need a vent. Maybe you are starting to sleep train and you just have a couple of questions. Maybe you are thinking of sleep training and you don't really know how to start it. So, lots of different things can be going on at this point. So just let me know. Maybe you have questions on potty training, transitioning. Hey, Jessica. So everyone that's joining, it's open mic night tonight on Facebook Live, meaning I'm leaving it up to you guys to ask me questions. I don't have a topic today per se on, what to really chat about. It's more as in I wanted to hear from you. Of course, the reason why I created these live videos and why I do them is to answer your questions. So Masha says, hey babe, what do I do if my baby is used to being swaddled and wakes himself up because he's getting so strong that he breaks through it? So Masha, first question is, how old is your little one? If they are 5 months plus, swaddling has to go out the window. You can try a couple of different features. One, there's a company called Swaddle Up. They have different transitions that you can go into from swaddling to he's almost 4 months. Okay, so he sleeps well otherwise. So if he's almost 4 months, I would continue on swaddling him. I wouldn't stop unless he is rolling over. Once the little one starts rolling over, then you want to eliminate the swaddle altogether because it's a safety precaution that you need to go look into that part. And there are a couple of ways that you can do that. One is you can try by letting an arm out and then letting another one out and then just swaddle on the bottom. They have lots of transition companies like Swaddle Up, that's one. Zippity Zip, that's another. Some people use Merlin suits also as a transition from swaddling to going into a non-swaddler. Like into a sleep sack. Some kids, they can just transition nicely. So if your little one does like to be swaddled, I would go ahead and continue on swaddling them until they start to roll over. Once they roll over, that gotta go. No ifs, ands, or buts, honey. That swaddle has to go for safety reasons for that. So check out those other companies. I did do a video on this like 2 weeks ago, I think. Just check in the search button for transitions and like swaddles and stuff like that, and you can find out some more answers on that. Let's see. Hi, Nadia. So everyone that's joining on, I am just leaving it up to you guys to ask me any type of questions that you have regarding your baby's sleep or any kind of parental questions that you might have. Again, if you want to vent, if you have any specific questions on your little one, my pleasure, Masha. Let me know. Maybe you're going through a transition period. Spring break is coming up. So maybe you're going on vacation and you're kind of a little bit nervous on what to do when you go on vacation with your little one, if they're a toddler or if they're an infant, and you want to kind of have a little refresher course on what to do when you do go on vacation. So let me know. Hey, Angelica. My son is almost 2.5 and never used blackout shades. Should I start now or not necessary? Will it be better for quality of sleep if he's sleeping well? Should I just leave it the way it is? If your toddler is sleeping beautifully, then there's no need to, add stuff. Blackout curtains and white noise machine, they are there to maximize sleep. It's not there to create, like a magic fix for anything. It's there just to maximize sleep. So the same thing as, remember I did a video on this like a while ago, and I gave the kind of the example of, you know, when we sleep on mattresses, pillows, and covers. We don't need them, but they maximize our sleep. They make sleep much better for us. So for little ones, especially if they're sensitive to light, blackout curtains do play a huge role, and white noise plays a huge role too. But if your 2.5-year-old is sleeping beautifully, then I don't see a point in, you know, really adding things. I mean, it could help make his sleep a little bit better, but if he's sleeping pretty well, then I don't really think that you need to fix anything if it's not broken. Hi, Leora. Let me open this up. This looks like a big message. So your daughter is 14 months and you trained her to sleep in her crib by 8 p.m. Beautiful. But for the past 2 months, she's been terrified of her crib and wanting to sleep in my bed. Now she falls asleep either in my bed, couch, or even on the floor. She was never this way. What do I do? So, since you mentioned that she was sleeping beautifully in her crib, and now all of a sudden she needs these new places to fall asleep, I would stick to one sleeping space and I would just stay consistent. There has to be a reason and why all of a sudden your little one wants to sleep in your bed into transitioning. Was there maybe one day that you did put her in your bed and she kind of slept there, and then, you know, she just slept longer? What I want to kind of dig a little deeper into it, like kind of like pulling it out, you know, what's the main reason and why that has happened. So I would look into that. And then the second factor that you would want to work on is creating a plan for yourself and how you're going to get her to sleep. Sleeping on the couch is a no-no. Sleeping on the floor, for some kids, they are comfortable with that. Like, I'm working with one family right now where the toddler does like to sleep on the floor. You know, sometimes maybe the mattress that you have, but you should be having a crib mattress, so that is usually firm. But some kids, they just like to sleep on the floor. It's cozy for them. But a couch, I'm assuming, hopefully it's not in the living room where the TV is on and that there's no TV on or electronics on right before sleep. But I would look a little deeper into that and why all of a sudden things like that happen. Keep a diary for yourself. Maybe go back to when it first started and see what has really changed in their behavior. And to kind of finish answering your question pretty much, if you have various sleeping spaces, that just creates confusion for a child. So I would need for you to use one sleeping space, and ideally you mentioned that you wanted it to be in the crib because that's where she was sleeping there before. So I would continue on staying consistent and more persistent than your little one to help her sleep in the crib for that part, and take out all of those other factors. So that is the main thing that I would want you to look into. Stay consistent, put a plan together for yourself. If she starts coming into your room, meaning like if she can climb out of the bed, then we would have to kind of work a little deeper in what to do. What I would suggest is working on those aspects, and then if something's still not working, feel free to message me, to private message me, and we can kind of set something up to get this situated for you, because it's a little tricky on that part. But I did kind of include basic factors in what you would want to begin. I hope that answered your question, honey. Let's see, who else? Victoria. Hi, I want to put my boys in one bedroom right now. They are in separate rooms. They will be 1 and 3 in May. Both sleep through the night. What's a good and gentle approach to do this? There's no gentle or good approach to do this. You just put them in one room together. I wish it was anything more simpler than that. But really, I am pretty sure that we make the story worse in our heads than what it really is. And what's the worst that's going to happen? Okay, maybe one would cry for a little bit, and then he might wake up the other one, and then they'll just tune each other out. I mean, they're siblings. My kids have been sleeping since day one in the same room. They zone each other out. And if they don't, they kick the other one for them to fall asleep. So it's just siblings. You do want to also give them space to mesh well and to create that bonding experience between the two of them, which is beautiful, especially when they're sharing a room. So there's nothing really preventative that you can kind of do. I mean, you can have the older one and prep him or prep them and tell them, you know, you're going to be sleeping with your sibling, with your little brother in one room together, and just kind of, you know, prep them on that part. Maybe you can have them both pick out their bed sheets and, you know, kind of go from there. Make it a little more personal. But there's really no easy fix-it solution. You just kind of put them in there and then that's it. Nothing bad is going to happen from that. I think what you're mostly afraid of is that if you put them in together and they're sleeping beautifully in separate rooms, that they're going to wake each other up and they're not going to be sleeping through the night. I think that that's probably what is kind of going through your head. So if that is, I would have that come out of your head and don't think about any type of negative thoughts, because you want to only instill positivity, especially when it is regarding towards sleep. So just put them both in the same room and then that's it. Nothing bad is going to happen. And if they do start talking to each other or they try and keep each other awake, then you will just take it from there. But I wouldn't get nervous beforehand on that. Hope that answers your question, Victoria. Hi, Angelica. Pamela. Hey, Pamela. Leora, you said, oh, my pleasure, Leora. She had a cold for a week, so I let her sleep on my bed. That was my big mistake. Okay, so that is the main factor in why she wants to sleep in other places besides her bed. So I don't want you to think that that's a big mistake. I mean, what happens, you know, I've done this too. I'm guilty of it too. That when my kids are sick, that you feel more comfortable being with them the entire night because, God forbid, if they have a fever or you know, you're with them, so you know what to do, or you're not really sleeping yourself that much, so it's a little easier for you to have her sleeping in your bed, the same way as it was easier for me to have my kids in my bed when, you know, whenever they got sick. So that's normal and that does happen. But the only thing that you really need to do now is, especially if she was already trained beautifully, you would just continue on with the process and you're not starting from scratch. It's going to still be a little bit difficult at first, but you just have to stay consistent with it. And you already did most of the work before, because you mentioned that she was already trained. So I would just continue on with the same process. Your main key here is really to stay consistent and not for her to choose where she sleeps. There has to be one specific sleeping space. Kids, when they are exhausted, they don't know what the heck is going on. They just want to sleep. That's the bottom line. So if they start creating tantrums, if they start flipping out, if they start crying, and we as the parents kind of freak out and we don't know what to do, we start using all of these props, all of these different ways of helping our little one fall asleep, and we work very hard to put them to sleep, but really it's the kid's job. It's the child's job to put themselves to sleep. We can't put them to sleep. They have to do it on their own, right? We are there as their guidance to help them to feel that they can fall asleep on their own, but we are there with assistance for them. So your main thing, Leora, is to pick one place that she's going to be sleeping. Ideally, it's going to be her crib in her room, and you can be there part of the process. I don't mean that you have to put her in her bed and just jet out and leave and say, peace, see you in the morning. You can be there in her room and help her while she gets kind of readjusted to sleeping in her own bed by herself. So that's a plan that I would want you to put together. Again, if you have any questions on how to do that, just private message me and then we'll set something up together, okay? My pleasure, Victoria. Let's see, any other questions? So I'm seeing we're getting a lot more people on. So tonight, I just wanted to leave the floor open for you guys. I love doing these videos, but I want to mix them a little bit and kind of have you guys ask me questions as opposed to me picking out topics often. So let's see. It's still early, so I can take a couple more questions. Hey, Teresa. So I love how you wrote question. Your toddler, 26 months, is refusing to lay down to sleep for bedtime and nighttime. The only way I can get him to sleep is by taking away his loveys. So my question, Teresa, is how's that a bad thing? If you're taking away his loveys for him to sleep, that might mean that he just has too much entertainment in his bed. So when you take them away, you create a boring sleep environment, and he knows that, okay, this is where my sleeping area is, and then this is how I sleep. So if he does sleep once you eliminate the loveys, then that's totally fine. If he wasn't sleeping and he was having a hard time, then I would want to look a little bit deeper into what is going on. Why can't he sleep? How is the environment? Do you have too many pieces in his bed for him to fall asleep? You're saying, and telling him to lay down to sleep, and then I will give him back, which is his only motivator for him to lay down. Okay, so let me make one thing clear for everyone that's on here. We don't necessarily want to force our children to lie down. We want them to lie down by themselves, because you want them to feel safe in their crib and that it's their sleeping space. So what you can do is you can tell him, or you can tell your children, it's time to rest. Some kids hate the word sleep, so kind of be a little sensitive on that part. And sometimes I just pat on the mattress like that, and then they lie down by themselves. If you force a child to lie down, that's when they start resisting sleep, and that's when they start fighting you. So you want them to lie down on their own terms and not forcefully. So Teresa, I would try and see how that works out for you. Instead of telling him I'm going to take away the loveys and then have him lie down, why don't you give him the loveys, sit by the crib, and just pat on the mattress a little bit, and then see how that works out for your son. See if he decides to voluntarily fall asleep. You don't want to force him into it, because if you want him to sleep beautifully and you want him to feel as though, okay, this is my sleeping space, and he has the loveys, which is beautiful that he has something that can comfort him to fall asleep, I would want to direct him a little bit more, as opposed to telling him, you have to go to sleep at this point. Just try that. Try and then let me know. Message me, so keep me posted. I want to find out how that goes for you. I hope that made sense. Let's see who else has questions. Allegra. Hey, Allegra. Your son is 4 years old. He has the ability to sleep in his bed. Let me open this up. He has the ability to sleep in his bed all night, but chooses not to. I put a gate up by the hallway so he can't come to my room, but he figured out how to open it. Yeah, they're smart little people. But then he comes to my room in the middle of the night and sleeps with me. What else can I do to keep him in his bed all night and only come to me in the morning? Okay. So this is something really, really important that I would want you to focus on, Allegra, and everyone that's on here that does have a toddler. Nighttime sleep is a reflection of daytime sleep. If you expect your little one to stay in their bed the entire night, and during the day you don't even mention that to them, that you only start to think of bedtime 5 minutes or 2 minutes before bedtime approaches, that's not going to work. You need to prep your child. You need to prep your toddler. So what I would do is in the morning when you wake up, throughout the day, and right before bedtime, keep telling him that you're a big boy. You're going to sleep in your own bed tonight. Mommy and daddy need their own sleeping space. This is where we sleep, and this is where you sleep. You say that throughout the day as reminders consistently. Kids need repetition. Saying it one time does not do anything. That's one thing that I want you to do. 2, those gates, I hate those gates. rarely ever work for that reason, and it makes some kids feel trapped in their room, so it makes matters it makes the situation worse. I wouldn't use reward charts either, because you are rewarding the behavior for them coming out. So the main thing that I would want you to focus on is during the day, and making sure that you are staying repetitive and you're telling him that tonight you're going to be a big boy, you're going to sleep in your own bed. Now, that's one part. Two is he's going to still come out of his bed. So when he comes out, there's this method, it's called silent return. Most likely you have heard about it. All that means is that they come into your bed, boring, you don't say anything, you bring them back into his bed, and you leave the room. Now he might get up, and then he might follow you. You will turn around, repeat, put him back in his bed. That can happen 30 to 50 times in the middle of the night. And then the next day you will repeat the same thing. And the next day you will repeat the same thing. Again, mentioning throughout the day that tonight you're going to be sleeping beautifully in your own bed. You really have to stay consistent and be repetitive. Toddlers are incredibly persistent, and they're more persistent than we are. So you kind of have to be above that factor. I hope that makes a little sense to you. If I confused you, let me know. I really hope I didn't. But if I did, message me, and I'll be able to talk you through a little bit more about what to do on that part. But remember that nighttime sleep is a reflection of daytime sleep. So, and what happens during the day, daytime activities. So you don't want to isolate the two. They go hand in hand. Leora, motivating you to train her again, going to start tomorrow. My pleasure. It's not necessarily training or retraining. You're just kind of, what's the word? Recreating creatively a new way of going back to sleep. That's really what it is. Since she already has beautiful sleep habits, it's not going to take you that long to do it, and it shouldn't be that intense as it was when you first started. Angelica, you said, so you've mentioned this before in previous videos, but I just want to make sure. So my son will wake up at night once at various times, one night, sometimes 12 times, 2 times, 4, but I don't mean wake up like crying or anything. He just sits up and says mama, or just babbles, and we automatically take him into our bed and we just continue on sleeping. We have been doing this forever, but I remember yesterday you were saying that it might be a crutch to take. Yes, it's a total crutch for to take your little one into your bed, especially if he's just babbling and he is not crying or anything like that. I don't see a need for you to take him into your bed. I think you're so tired at that point that you are creating like a preventative measure if he cries, so you take him out of the crib and put him into your bed, because you don't want the crying to begin if it does. So I would just listen to him. If he's babbling, let him hang out, let him be in his own bed. But if you keep taking him out, yeah, you are creating that association. Hold on, what else did you say? So if we are okay with it, it is okay to do that, or is this something that we won't be able to? Yeah, if you're fine with it and it's okay, then that's, you know, it doesn't hurt anything. But if it's not working for you, then it's not, you need to change it. But if your little one is waking up and he's babbling for a while, I need you to look into his schedule during the day, because he might be sleeping too much during the day and he's awake at night. So I would need for you to look into his schedule a little bit deeper and know how much sleep he needs during the day and how much sleep he needs at night. Because if he's sleeping too much during the day, that might be one of the reasons in why he is awake at night, and then you take him into your bed. So that's what I would want you to do. My pleasure, Teresa. My pleasure, Allegra. Angelic says, so my previous question reflects ideas of my future might be. Sure. What's up, Allegra? You have another question. Hold on, let me open this up. Your daughter is 2. Past November, she goes down into her crib beautifully, sleeps through the night. She has a blankie and a passy. People constantly making comments to take them away. Don't listen to people. My son, I did cold turkey with a passy. He was fine. In her case, which I do take away first blankie or passy, don't take away either. If your daughter is sleeping beautifully with them, keep it. Don't listen to other people's 2 cents. Do what you got. Sorry, dropped my phone. Hope I didn't break it. Do what feels right to you. If it works for your daughter, for her to have a passy and for her to have a blankie, let her be with it. Who gives 2 hoots of what other people say? Everybody loves to put in their little jibber jabbers and to give you their best advice on things that they think are, expert information or anything. If it works for your family, please just continue on doing it. It doesn't hurt having a passy. Yeah, some dentists say that, interferes with the teeth and the formation and all that other stuff. So you can look into that. But the only time that you would want to eliminate a pacifier, really, from what I see, when it's regarding towards sleep, is if it comes out of the mouth and then the child wakes up constantly, and then you have to keep going into the room and replugging the baby by giving the pacifier on a continuous basis. If that's not your case, leave it alone. Keep the pacifier just for naps, just for bedtime, as long as they're not out and about with the passy, because then it can become more of like a security attachment to them. And if she has a favorite blanket for sleep, please, more power to the girl. Let her have it. You don't need to take those away. Whatever people are going to give you, they're always going to give you their 2 cents, their information. Everyone thinks they're an expert in something. Just go with the flow. Don't worry about it, okay? Who else? Let's see. Who else? What time is it? 10:30, peoples. Okay, I have a couple more questions. You guys can let me know. If you have any friends, colleagues, relatives, your mother-in-law that has questions on sleep, make sure to share it right below. And if you have any comments, if you're watching the replay, feel free to comment, and then I will be able to answer it after. Hold on. So let's see who else. Dina. Hey, Dina. I love you too. You're saying hold on. What's going on here? Your son can fall asleep by himself during the day, but he needs me to sit next to him at night. I would like to just put him down and leave. So just put him down and leave. What you can do is, I'm assuming your son is a toddler. So what you can do is something called job checks. It's just like one little tip that I could give you for now as a starting point. And what you would do is you would have to tell him, I have to go pee, or I have to go wash the dishes, or I have to call Papa. A job check, something that you have to go do at that point. And then tell him you'll be back in 2 minutes. And he can lie here and just wait for you. He doesn't have to go to sleep. So most likely what he's going to do is he's going to wait for you. I need you within 2 minutes to go back into the room and tell him, see, I'm here. Mommy just had to go pee, wash dishes, whatever you had to do, and then sit by his bed. After he calms down, then you'll repeat the same thing. You come up with a new job check, and then you leave, and then you come back. After you stay repetitious with this, he's going to get so tired just waiting for you, and then he'll fall asleep. The next day you repeat. The next day you repeat. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. See how that goes for you. Usually that's pretty good, and it kind of nips things in the bud. If it doesn't, then I want to dig deeper into that, but at least that's a good starting point for you. Leora says, your daughter only falls asleep with her small emoji pillow and her thumb in her mouth. Everyone has their own soothing capabilities in what they need to fall asleep. Let them do it. As long as they're not hurting themselves, they're not harming anyone else. Who gives a rat's behind? And who even came up with that stupid saying? But anyway, my pleasure, Allegra. Yeah, we all need that sometimes. We all need that little reassurance because, when we were pregnant with our kids, how many times did you get people off the street try and rub your belly, or tell you horrific stories about their birth that they had or their troubles? Who cares? I don't want to hear about what the hell happened to you in the hospital when I am pregnant and I am expecting my first child. Keep that shit to yourself. You know, you want only positive vibes from people. And when it comes to kids, everyone has their own idea of what is supposed to be positive. It's your own family. So what you want to instill, your parental philosophies, how you want to raise your little one, keep it at that. Keep everyone else's voices out of your head, because it's just complete bullshit. And, you know, when people, going back to that whole rubbing the belly, I used to go like this to people. You know, in Russian is dula. So I would have that behind my back because I didn't want anyone to jinx me. But, you know, that was me, because I just hated people touching me when I was pregnant. So, yeah, a little bit about me. Okay, let's see what else. Angelica, you say he naps once a day, 1 to 2 hours, nothing excessive. We don't even wait for him to cry at night. We just take him when we hear him and just all sleep. Okay, so you answered your own question then, Angelica. If you're not waiting to hear anything, you're most likely thinking that his whining is going to become crying. I would want you to listen to your little one before taking him out of the bed, because you'd be surprised, he might just fall asleep by himself, and you won't even need to schlep all the way to his room and to take him out of the crib and then schlep back to your bed. Just listen, use your lovely, beautiful ears and see how it goes. If he starts crying, then you know, okay, we got something. But there's no reason why you should have your sleep broken and why your little one should have his sleep broken. That little factor of you getting out of your bed, you need to wake up. You need to have your body arouse, and you have to function to take your little one out of the bed and to go back. So you're not in full deep sleep. You're breaking up your sleep too. And your sleep is just as important as your little one's sleep. So before doing that, I would just listen, use your lovely ears, and listen to what's going on. If he's babbling, let him be. If he starts crying, okay, then we'll have to take it a step further. But if he's just babbling, let him be. Don't be afraid of anything. Don't be scared that it's going to turn into crying, because he might just surprise you, honey. Thanks, Pamela. Thumbs up, everybody. Dina. Okay, let's see. I'm going to take one more question. One more question. This is 2. One more. Dina says, your little one is 16 months. Does what you said still apply? I said a lot of stuff. I don't know exactly what you were referring to. Dina, let me know, because I talk a lot. So let me know what you are exactly asking about. I think if I'm not mistaken, what I was talking to Angelica about, taking your little one out of the crib and putting them into your bed. Is that what you mean by applying to yourself? Let me know. Yes, no, thumbs up, no, thumbs down. I don't know. I think there's like a delay on this. Okay. About putting him down to sleep and then leaving the room. Yeah, totally. It does apply for 16 months old. You can put him down to sleep in his bed, and if he starts crying or if he has an association, then I would not leave the room. I would create a method, I would use a method that helps your little one fall asleep and teaches them independently how to fall asleep, but with your guidance in the room. So it's a little tricky on how to do that, but that's kind of what I specialize in sleep hygiene and behavioral coaching. So if you do put your little one in the crib and he doesn't cry and he kind of starts to doze off himself, and that's beautiful. So you don't really need to do work. I think we're so hammered and jacked up on all these mommy sleep forums and all these horrific stories about sleep, how their kids don't sleep forever or in the middle of the night whatsoever. And then when our little ones are actually sleeping nicely, or they're not really making crying sounds, it's more of whines, we kind of mistaken them for oh well, maybe this might happen, and you are doing like a preventative measure. But what if that doesn't ever happen? What if they don't cry? What if they just whine and then they put themselves back to sleep? That's why every time when I'm working with a family, I always tell them, don't move. I need you to use your ears. See, we all have lovely ears. Mine are pierced. See, we all have ears. Use them. Use your senses and use your hearing sense. Listen to your little one. If they are whining, just listen. Don't go in, because that can really make or break that part when, if they're whining, they can actually put themselves back to sleep. If they are crying, then that's a no-go. Then there's just an escalation that will happen. That usually takes 20 to 30 minutes for some kids. Then the crying goes down, and then it escalates again, and it's just like this whole freaking roller coaster. So in that part, I would kind of create a preventative measure on that part. But always listen before you go in. I can't stress that enough. Angelica says, and then we're all gonna go to sleep, right? We're all gonna go to bed after this? Okay. Angelica says, sometimes he stands up and I have a fear of him trying to get out, which he never did, but that's another reason why I get him. He might sit, lay back down, but I don't know what will happen first. So, Angelica, you have lots of fears going on. First thing first is, if you are afraid of him coming out of the crib, two things. One, put a sleep sack on him. That won't happen. Two, if you have those cribs that has like an arch as opposed to a flat surface everywhere, if it has an arch, reverse your crib so that arch goes on the outside and the flat surface goes touching the wall. Sleep sacks help a lot for kids that might want to come out of the crib. And if they do, nothing really harmful. Just make sure that the room is nice and safe. You can put those pads on the floor, if anything like that. Some parents like to put pillows. But I think you are just a little bit tad nervous, and you're not trusting your son as much as you should with his sleep. So I would want him to really just, go with the flow and listen to him. That's it. If you have a baby monitor, that will help you also. So you can, when he does wake up and he starts babbling, you can watch him. Yeah, he's 2.5. Sleep sacks, they go up until, I think they have like up until 6. The merino wools, they're really they're huge. So you can use one of those. Sometimes I've had kids, well, no, not this age. I don't think it'll work for this age. Where they put on like their dad's t-shirt and it's like huge, it's like this like massive dress. But sleep sacks really do help. Again, it depends on what kind it is. If they has a zipper in the front, what you would do is you would reverse it and you put the zipper in the back. So, because sometimes kids, when they're old enough, they'll know how to open it, so they'll just zip it open and then they'll come out of it. So I would just do a little bit of research on what kind of a sleep sack to use, and it's a wearable blanket, so it's good, especially with summer coming up soon. It's gonna get a little chilly in the homes with the air conditioners going on, so a nice cozy little blanket would be doable. But yeah, you can try that. Yay! Okay, so everyone that had questions on tonight, I'm giving you homework. I want to know what is going on after you have implemented these tips that I gave you. Either you could let me know on the group, on the Facebook group, or you could private message me. I genuinely want to know what is going on with the implementation of the tips, and if they helped you, Or do we need to step it up a notch and to dig a little deeper in what is going on? Because there should be no reason why none of you or any of you should not be sleeping at night beautifully, including you and your little ones, okay? So keep me posted. I really do want to know, and I am the one that answers all of my messages. So when we're communicating, it's me, yeah, not a robot. So let me know, okay? So make sure I'm keeping that promise that I want to, you know, be a part of your lives and helping you with sleep. And you keep that promise to me that you will keep me updated, okay? So my pleasure, Allegra. My pleasure, everybody. Sweet dreams. And I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye.